QuickShots are a collection of automated movements centered around the subject. They are commonly used to create dynamic selfie for sharing or to effortlessly capture clips while traveling. They can also be used to showcase the surrounding of notable landmarks, produce cinematic footage of unfamiliar locations, or support real estate videography. The Mini 5 Pro introduces some new features compared to previous lightweight models. In this video, I will show you all you need to know to make the most of this functionality. On the photo video menu above the shutter, we find the QuickShots icon below Master Shots. In the vertical menu to the left, the different modes are listed: Rotate, Dronie, Rocket, Circle, Helix, Boomerang, and Asteroid. The exposure can be set to auto or manual. I suggest using manual, as during different moves the light intensity may vary considerably, leading to unwanted shift in luminance when using auto exposure. It is preferable to avoid the middle hours of a sunny day, as the difference in luminosity are severe and the shadows too harsh. Better results are obtained around sunrise or sunset, or with the sun covered by clouds. The white balance should also be set to manual to avoid color shifts. For resolution, there is a choice between 4K and 1080p, with frame rates of 30 to 60 frames per second. The widely used 25 frames per second is not available. This is annoying for users who normally shoot at 24, as the QuickShots will stutter if the footage is encoded at a different frame rate. The three different color profiles, normal, D-Log-M, and HLG, are available. It is also possible to take vertical QuickShot in portrait mode. After choosing the QuickShot modes, in most cases a target must be selected by drawing a box around it. If people or vehicles are on the frame, a plus sign will be overlaid, and we can select them as targets by simply tapping on the plus sign. During a QuickShot, we can interrupt the process by touching the sticks or the left button of the remote controller. Let's start with Dronie. After selecting the target, a small window appears in the lower part of the screen, in the middle, to select the distance of the aircraft from the target during the shot, from 30 to 120 meters. Dronie is often used for selfies. In this case, the distance should be set to the minimum value, to remain close to the target. After hitting the shutter, the aircraft moves away from the subject while ascending. It is also a perfect mode for videography for the end of a movie or to reveal the surroundings of a landmark. When used for videography, it is preferable to choose a higher distant value. At the end of the move, the software stops recording and the aircraft returns to the starting point. It would be nice if the app kept recording while coming back to get an interesting establishing shot punching into the target from a wider view. The aircraft ascends and advances while keeping the camera on the target. The move ends on top of the target with the camera pointing down for a bird's eye view. It is practically the crane move, a classic in videography, not a simple move to execute manually. Utilizing Rocket, the move is always perfectly smooth. Rocket is another mode often used for selfies. In the settings, we can select the altitude from 30 to 80 meters. Lower values are more suitable for selfies, higher one for videography. Like in the case of Dronie, it would be nice to have the opposite move, starting on top of the target and moving backward and downward to reveal the background. Circle is a simplified version of the intelligent flight mode point of interest. The aircraft rotates around the target at a constant distance and height. We can only set the direction using the yellow arrow. I don't find this mode interesting, as with point of interest we can do the same with plenty of other options, like using the two sticks of the remote controller to get closer or farther away from the target, and we can control the rotation speed. Helix is an excellent way to reveal the surroundings of a landmark. The drone orbits around the target while rising in altitude. We can set the direction of flight and maximum radius from 10 to 120 meters. If we use the higher values and start from a relatively high elevation, we might get an error message on screen if the maximum allowed altitude is exceeded. In the right locations, the result can be quite spectacular, especially when using high radius values. However, the movement becomes extremely slow. In this case, reduce the radius value to increase the speed. With Boomerang, there are no parameters to set, only the direction of flight can be chosen. The drone flies away from the target, rising in altitude, and then comes back on the other side of the target at the original altitude. It draws a half ellipse around the target. This is another difficult move to perform manually. And is an excellent one for real estate to showcase a property. Asteroid is available only at a resolution of 1080p. It is good fun to use it a couple of times to show it to friends who have not seen a tiny planet before, or to post it on social media, but it's not really useful in videography. The first part of the move is similar to a rocket, rising with the camera locked on the target. At a certain altitude, several photos are taken for a 360-degree representation of the scene. I left this mode for last, as it is a new one for DJI lightweight models. It uses the rotating gimbal, also present in the R3S and Mavic 4 Pro, to mimic the behavior of a real airplane leaning to one side while turning. By opening the small window at the bottom of the screen, we access several parameters. We can choose the direction between forward and backward. For rotation angle, there are two choices. With the first one, the clip starts with a 45-degree rotation to the right, and then rotates by the same amount to the other side. With the second option, the aircraft rotates progressively from 0 to 180 degrees for an upside-down view. In rotating speed, there are three choices. I suggest selecting the minimum value, as otherwise the resulting clip will be very short. Finally, we can choose the flight speed. The top of the small window shows the distance to travel and the length in seconds of the resulting clip. In rotate mode, a target is not needed. It is the only QuickShot mode where the drone doesn't come back to the starting point at the end of the move. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Mini 5 Pro, and don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.